This is Omniculous File 222. In today's file, we will be looking at a very special case that I haven't looked at in quite some time, but it's something that I feel like needs to be looked at again. This file has to do with doppelgangers. We've seen these sorts of entities before. We've had Jack the Ripper, which was a split personality kind of situation where we had two people inside of one body. We've had the altering, which had a person who was changing the identities of himself by switching faces with other people. But this particular case here is a bit different. And if you think you might be dealing with this could save your life. So let's look at Omniculous File 222. It says here, Entity 222, Doppelganger Threat Level, 2 Status, Active. It goes on to describe what the actual threat level means here. And it says that this entity is considered active. That means that there are currently multiple sightings of this entity happening all across the world. This parasite is known as the doppelganger. It has been documented sporadically over the last few centuries. Its existence was first suspected when identical sightings of individuals behaving strangely were reported. And those individuals later suffered unexplained deaths. All right. So it's not just that there's another person out there that looks exactly like you. There's also some strange circumstances surrounding how this happens and the end result of it. And it goes on to describe the stages of what happens when you encounter the doppelganger. Target acquisition. This thing chooses its target randomly. It seems to pick a living victim at random. Selection criteria are unknown and no known patterns exist regarding age, gender, or social standing. Okay. So this thing seems to choose people for no apparent reason. Initial contact. It first mirrors the victim's movements using reflective surfaces. Mirrors, water, windows, capturing the victim's appearance with uncanny precision. Okay. So it can see you in a mirror and then replicate itself based off of that. Early manifestation. Within days, Entity 222 appears briefly to the victim's acquaintances, usually behaving oddly, running away, standing silently or watching before vanishing. Witnesses often report feeling deep confusion or unease. This is when it starts to show itself to other people, but not to you yet. It shows itself to the people that know you, and it behaves erratically. They see it, and then it disappears. And the people who saw it don't know why they saw it. They feel confused and uneasy. Voice mimicry. By the 3rd to 5th day, Entity 222 develops the ability to perfectly imitate the victim's voice. Okay. Now it moves on to the next stage, which is full assimilation. After 1 week, if unchallenged, the entity completes the duplication. It begins draining the victim's life force, slowly killing the original while permanently assuming their identity. Post-assimilation. Once the life force transfer is complete, the original victim is lost forever. The entity seamlessly replaces them, leaving no physical evidence behind. All right. So this thing basically replicates itself. It finds a target and then it kills that person by sucking the life essence out of them, and it takes their place. And once it's done that, it's gone. There's no trace of it. The person who was there is dead. No one even knows that it happened. Now below here we have notable cases. And this is the information that Field Agent Lyon has gathered over his years of observing this phenomenon. Physical attacks are useless. Entity 222 ignores damage and is immune to conventional weapons. This makes sense because it's a formless being. You can't really kill something that doesn't have a form. Third-party warnings are ineffective. Friends or family must notice the entity's discrepancies firsthand. Simply telling them about Entity 222 does not work unless they witness it themselves. However, first-hand realization is key. If someone who personally knows the victim recognizes the differences without external prompting, Entity 222 abandons the attempt and vanishes. I really like that point. That actually gives me hope because if I were ever to come across this, I would just tell everyone who knew me, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I think is happening to me. Hopefully that would make it go away. But then it says here, rumors hinder containment. Online misinformation and hoaxes have made it extremely difficult to isolate real cases of Entity 222, adding chaos to investigations. This is why I am releasing this file now so that more people are aware of this situation. We've captured this entity multiple times, but every time we've tried to capture it, it either goes through our bodies, it teleports, it shapeshifts. And that brings us to the abilities section. And these are the things that the agent has observed about this entity's abilities. Perfect visual mimicry. Copies appearance through reflective observation. Voice mimicry. Matches victim's speech patterns perfectly. Phasing. It can pass through walls and solid matter. Teleportation. Capable of vanishing and reappearing within a small radius. And shapeshifting. It can adjust physical appearance slightly to maintain disguise as the victim decays. Life force absorption. Drains victim's energy until death. Alright, so this thing can use a bunch of different ways to escape. It can phase through stuff. It can teleport, it can mimic you perfectly. So you might not even know that it's there, and then it sucks the life essence out of you. And in doing so, it becomes you. It literally becomes you and takes your place. Alright, so down here it says current Omniculous status. Active cases are under silent observation. Public disclosure is prohibited to avoid mass panic and to prevent the entity from adapting to exposure. Agents are instructed, observe, document, avoid engagement. If you suspect you are dealing with Entity 222, record any inconsistencies, force witnesses to observe them directly, and report immediately to Omniculous protocols. Alright, so just like the other files, they want us to observe this, document it, try not to engage with it, try not to fight it. Because if we engage, it will probably run away. And they say to force witnesses to observe them directly. So I guess that means if you tell someone that you think that they're the doppelganger, that might get rid of it. But I'm not entirely sure of that one. I'm not entirely sure how that works. Does it mean you have to actually point it out to them? Does it mean you have to explain to them what's going on? I'm not entirely sure. But if you see something, say something. Don't just sit back and hope that everything's fine because it's not. If you've ever been concerned that you might be the doppelganger, if you ever thought that, hey, I think there might be somebody out there that looks exactly like me, this might be why. This might be why you're having that thought. And if that's the case, you should keep your eyes open. Pay attention to the people around you and pay attention to yourself. Are there things that are happening that seem a little odd? Are there things that you're seeing that seem a little strange? Are there sounds that you're hearing that seem a little off? Do the people around you sound right? Do they look right? If you start noticing small changes, you might want to call up Omniculous. This has been Omniculous File 222. I hope you enjoyed this one. I really like these kinds of files because I always wonder if this stuff is out there. Is there an alternate me somewhere out there that's living my life? Or am I the doppelganger and there's some other guy somewhere out there that's living my life? Who knows? But it's fun to read about this stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed it as well. I'll see you next time on another episode of Omniculous Files. Goodbye.